I started.
Sorry. Okay. All right, Maddie. How do you think your lesson went today?
That time goes very fast. Earlier today I'd been thinking about this lesson and I was like, oh, they've read these pages last week because they got ahead. All three of them got ahead. It's a pretty short book, and so I was like, I'm gonna spend more time on that technology piece because that's where the lack of understanding is gonna be. Well, there's just some things you can't plan for, and so obviously I knew that, but you don't know how it's gonna play out. As we were saying before, you can have perfect plans, but it just depends on how the students react to them and how I present them. And so the time slipped by really fast. I'm glad we were able to get that reading in there because that last activity we didn't get to really is just to come up with one question you have about the text. It's not something that takes a long introduction or anything like that strategy we used today, but I feel like the teaching I did get in was quality for working with 3 students in a 20-minute period. And I do feel lucky that they have read that reading, and I know that they've gotten to it, so it wasn't like I was just like, tell me about this reading that you're doing in 3 minutes. Because the students last week said, I got ahead because there was just extra time.
And I like how you still made those last few minutes of reading useful. Like, I really liked the questions that you asked and how you were really pulling on the comprehension, like with the oils, like is this good or bad, not just like explicit recall, but also like what helping them understand the text. So
I've been really trying to work on making inferences. So the implicit comprehension, because I think both are so important. And this book obviously has a lot of explicit because it's a bunch of facts.
Yeah, definitely.
So really making the students think about what am I reading and am I correct? So you heard Mackenzie say the oil is bad for the animal. And then Micaiah said, oh, no, it's good. Well, in this case, it could be both, but the reading was talking about how it's good. But Mackenzie wasn't wrong because if her connections are she's seen the commercials where the oil on the animals is bad, I mean, you just have to consider that. So I wouldn't say that Mackenzie wasn't comprehending and Micaiah was. I just really want them to get into that deep thinking in general.
Absolutely. I think you did a really great job with taking advantage of those last couple minutes. And talking about the technology piece, how do you, I really feel like you did a great job of like spending time on that because you knew some of your students, Aiden got it right away, but then Mackenzie and Micaiah needed a little bit more guidance. How did you feel about how you did with meeting the needs of your different students where they were at?
I think for the circumstances, I think I did pretty good because most of it was the logistics. So it was like, oh, my iPad's unlocked, but yours aren't. Or, I mean, most of the like problems I ran into weren't that they weren't understanding. It was like, what's the code to unlock yours? Or, oh, you accidentally, like, they accidentally tapped another tab, and so it takes them to a new page. It wasn't like they weren't listening or that they weren't understanding. It was just really trying to manage 3 iPads with students who may not get to use them every day. And it depends on their background. Aiden loves YouTube. He loves using iPads and tablets, and he uses them at home. And so he has that experience. He can do it on his own. Whereas who knows? If these girls don't use them often, then that's just something that you just have to plan for. But as to how do I feel meeting the needs of their understanding, I definitely feel like Mackenzie and Aiden got it. Micaiah, I think taking more time to say, we can't assume they know what is a definition. And I think I did assume, we're talking about what words mean, therefore definition kind of just goes along with that, and it's a word that's used often, but clearly she didn't know. And so that was something, I feel like I addressed it, but I had to be quick about it. And I wish I could have taken more time to say, like, well, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's not always that time.
Right. I mean, like you said, it went so fast. So I think that you utilized your time well with what you had. Let's see. when do you think, besides that moment, were there any other times that you think the students were struggling or that they would need more help?
I think like there was a distraction issue today. And I don't think it was because the lesson was not engaging. I think this is something that, oh, we're lucky, like we're using iPads. Like that's exciting. But I did notice, and I don't want to blame it on anything else, but I did notice the janitor came in and was having a conversation over here. And I did notice the students, looking back, like, what is that? Because normally it's silent in here.
Right.
And I also notice in our own classroom during one-on-one, if that janitor comes in, she's doing something different. She's the only one up and moving. And so I think it is a distraction. And so that kind of took away, and it was hard to say, bring it back. Like, let's focus, because it takes a lot of focus to understand that technology piece.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Especially when some of the students weren't really familiar with how to use Google.
Yeah.
Or how to look up the definition, let alone what a definition was. So I think you really I think it's hard when you come in ready to teach 3 students that you don't really know a lot about. So I think you did great. I guess based off what happened today, how, and looking towards like the rest of the week, what like changes would you make to like help what happened today, and also what would you keep the same and do again?
Well, I can say right now, someone might ask me like, "Oh, that Google piece was hard. Like, would you do that again?" I think you shouldn't just not do something with students because it's hard. I think it's something like, obviously it would have been better with more time, but I think it's something that was very beneficial to them, especially in meeting this comprehension goal. I would much rather use Google than taking them to a dictionary and saying, let's flip through and find it, because that's a less authentic experience than giving them that experience with Google and using the technology and everything. Now, I know one thing, Aiden isn't going to let it go the rest of the week. Oh, we never finished that activity. Oh, we never finished it. He doesn't.
Because he knows it's not done.
Yeah, and that's something I just know about him. I mean, there'll be a book we read 2 weeks ago that we didn't get to the last 4 pages, and he'll say, we still didn't finish that book. I mean, that's something, and I'll have to address that, and you'll probably see it in those next lessons. But if there's time, yes, we'll finish it. But, I did that modeling. I did Mackenzie, she started drawing a picture on her own, so that shows me, she was thinking about what did I do in the beginning, because all the way at the end of the lesson, here she is drawing a picture that connects to her definition. And so I'll definitely have to work on my time management, but I think the other 2 lessons I have planned are so different from this one. It's hard for me to say, like, what will I keep the same, what will I change, because they'll be different lessons.
Right.
But definitely the time management thing is going to be my biggest issue. I'm normally a clock watcher, but because today I was like, I'm going to have to make up that time. Like, I don't want the lesson to end early because this reading is literally like 2 pages. I think I over allowed that time for the beginning piece.
Yeah, but you were trying to make sure all of your students got it. So
yeah, and I don't think it was drug out because we didn't even get to more than 1 word. We didn't even finish with 1 word, but.
And I mean, the modeling, it's not something you can take out. It was essential for them to understand.
No, it was essential.
So I'm glad that you incorporated all of that, and I'm just really excited to see the rest of your lesson.
Thank you.